Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise show. A very significant evening. The chaos that's unfolding in Minnesota. Are we getting to the Insurrection Act? We probably should. Minnesota's a captured state. What had transpired today is a disgrace. It's an embarrassment. I have no empathy or sympathy for the dead. I don't care about the bystander there that was supposedly she's wife. You know, I don't really care about these people. So welcome in this evening. Tonight's show, Black Gold, Black Ops, body bags or borders. Let me expound on that. That's what we're talking about tonight. Deport or die trying. No mercy deportations. Let's be clear about this. President Trump has a political mandate for mass deportation. Anyone who obstructs, gets in the way, will and shall be arrested or dealt with. This must be absolute and profound. I don't care that she died. I'm saddened for the 6-year-old she left behind, but, she's driving around Missouri plates from Colorado, clearly obstructing and absconding the law. The rest of us, we would have been dealt with. Well, she got dealt with. And you know what? Good riddance. 84% of the American electorate voted for President Trump to fix the borders. It's the borders, ladies and gentlemen. Deport or die trying. That's it. The other part of the show tonight, MAGA Guillotine versus Black Pill Execution Squad. There is a massive, let's just say, in-house fighting that's going to about to, let's just say, break loose now that Bongino's returning to his podcast. The fight's already started. Everybody's up and, I don't know. They got their panties in a bunch. It's getting ridiculous, and I think that in some way there are many people that are hoping that he would counterbalance the argument against someone like Tucker Carlson, Sean Ryan, many other people that are out there. And I say, let's just hold on and wait a minute and see what happens. Let's welcome in my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Oh, man. Everything's going good, except for this cough every now and then.
Okay.
Other than that, today was, a good example of suicidal empathy.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Good point. Good
that was
point.
the
Very
theme of
good.
the day, in my
Yep.
opinion. And look, these people
That's an
better figure
excellent
it out.
point. Excellent point. Yeah, we covered that. Suicidal empathy. What was the other ones we used? Not just suicidal empathy. It's there's a variety of different I think terminology that
Well, most people don't know that
coincides.
most people don't know that empathy means, letting anybody get away with whatever
Mhm.
because they're in a bad situation. That's not sympathy.
Yeah.
Sympathy or compassion is trying to help somebody do better.
Right.
Empathy is saying, "Oh, you killed a guy even though you're a murderer. We still feel sorry for you anyway." Well, that's empathy. That's not good.
Any one of us did what this person did, this 36-year-old female, I think her name was Renee something, whatever. We would all be in the same position or worse or the same. And what does it matter? You're obstructing federal law. We want this to take place. The American electorate, they don't care. We don't care. We're going to get into it tonight. Welcome at Pill.net. Hello on Rumble. How you doing, True Terran? What's up? Today was FAFO. You bet. Suicidal empathy, I do like. If you got any other ones for the empathy that you want to add to it, doesn't matter. It's great. MG615. Hello, Glory B. Hello, howdy, and a hi, ho. What's going on, Wood USA? Thank you for the 117 gold pills. Trump won. Thank you for the cookie. Super D dropping 117 gold pills. Who else is here tonight? What's up, Sausage Launcher? Trusty Turnip. Good to see everybody popping in to say hello. It's going to get a little saucy, a little heavy on the gravy. It's going to be a little tough. I mean, let's just, no pearl clutching here. You better be able to, let's just say, deal with this, ladies and gentlemen. Punishment and what you saw tonight must be absolute and profound. The reaction of ICE or what is going to take place, because Minnesota is going to burn again, or they're going to try and burn it again with massive interruptions. I didn't see anybody coming for Irina and supporting her when some monkey basically killed her, murdered her, slashed her in pieces. Where was all that support for her? And now this trans she try to run over an agent for actually what? Enforcing the law that we all voted for? More to come. Stay tuned. Welcome in. Let's say hello over here on YouTube. Let's see who else is here on YouTube. Well, please hit the button. Make sure that you know that when we go, just say live, you hit the bell, hit the red pill, gold pills, questions, comments, concerns. You can help us out here. Donate and support the platform. Saying over there on Rumble. If you want to help out, MarshallKofi.com/surfdog74. I'm going to jump all over the place. So I have a ton of stuff, but I want to start off with what's really taking place, but I prefer to just cover what we're going to see now, because I know that a lot of people are covering this, but I want to cover this somewhat, and then we'll get into the tankers and the Bongino fight and all the wonderful stuff that is, taking place right now that we're not covering because we got to deal with this shit. And Governor Retard and Governor Faggot of Minneapolis, this bagel, arrest him. How about arrest the sheriff coming out there and saying, can't even support his fellow officers, got to go out against ICE. I'm here as the sheriff, as the chief, law enforcement for my city and council. No, you're being forced to do something, you piece of shit. When they come in, the Marines come in, pull out all the ICE agents. Why do you think Trump's pulling out all these people? Because it's insurrection time. The Marines are going in, the true National Guard deputized, all these other areas that are going to be it's going to be glorious. Arrest the governor, arrest the mayor, arrest this chief of police over there. You got so many problems right now. Listen to this right now, hearing from Kristi Noem.
Governor Walz and spoke to him as well. I want to reiterate first with all of you the facts of what happened today. At 10:25 a.m. Central Time, Immigration and Customs Enforcement were carrying out lawful operations here in Minneapolis. Because of the adverse weather that Minneapolis has seen in recent snow, one of the vehicles became stuck and ensnared in the snow. Law enforcement were attempting to push out this vehicle, and when a mob of agitators that were harassing them all day began blocking them in, shouting at them, and impeding law enforcement operations. ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. He was treated at a local hospital, has been released, and is now with family. I encourage the American people at this point in time to pray for him, but also to pray for the deceased's family and her loved ones. Today alone in this country, there have been 4 different domestic terrorist attacks on federal officers by the ramming of vehicles. 3 of them happened here in Minneapolis. We've seen over 100 of these vehicle rammings happen in just recent weeks, and this must stop.
Yes, it should stop, Marshall. This has to stop, because if it doesn't, you're going to see more and more people be executed in the way they deserve to be, because let's face it, this is not vengeance. You're breaking the law. This is a political mandate. It's absolute and profound. The consequences is what? Deadly. And if Minnesota wants to erupt, and Governor Retard and Mayor Bagel want to basically say we're at war with the United States government, bring it on. Send in the Marines. What are we waiting for? Enough. We're not going through 2020. We're not going through this whole thing, this nonsense. You're going to burn the cities down. And anybody supporting all this stuff, arrested, put them in detention centers. Remember, they were going to do it to us. Oh, they were going to do it to us. Arrest them all. Yes. All right. If you're an American citizen, you get due process. If you're an illegal, you're going back, maybe in a container, and you're going to float in the ocean home. Swim your way back. I'm over this shit. This is going to end. When are we going to say enough's enough? When you have the governor and the mayor telling get the fuck out of here and saying all these things, They really didn't understand what just took place over the weekend with President Trump removing Maduro, all right, from his Venezuelan palace. I guess they think in some way they're protected, that in some way that the laws of the Fourth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment are going to protect them when President Trump goes in with the Insurrection Act and says, you know what? We're just going to suspend habeas corpus in these areas. See what happens. No one is going to have any rights.
The only time it's going to stop Murphy, that's my dog, Jesus, Brett, is that you've got to start arresting the leaders in these states. The leadership, mayor, you've got to arrest the governor. That's the only way you're going to, you can sit here and continue to play these games with these people. And it's just going to, you're just going to get, more people are going to get killed. And, not that I don't like them. I don't like these protesters. But if you stop the leadership, I think that's when, just like you just said, we went and snatched up the leader of Venezuela. Well, these people need to have a little Venezuela treatment, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, the political mandate is there for mass deportations. Anyone obstructs this, gets in the way, will and shall be arrested, or worse. Let's face it. What about that officer or his coworker, his partner, his colleague, that his life was basically flashing before his eyes that they were going to get run over? Oh, that's okay. What about his family? We don't stop and think about this. They're doing a job that the president of the United States, the American public, have demanded to be done. That we allowed this nonsense to continue on. Here we go with the Muse. I'm going to put this up there. Governor Retard. Here, let me put this. He says, excuse me, hold on. Let me put this in there because I'm animated right now. Governor Walz revealed 1,700 National Guard troops are in training for possible deployment and has sent out a warning. Notice preparing troops that they may be deployed against federal immigration agents. Is he doing it or is he being forced to do it? I think he's being forced to do it. A governor preparing the state troops against federal law enforcement is a red line. Walz made sure to make it clear that he hasn't made a final decision in deploying the troops. He has no control, no say over it. Even though a governor has a right and stuff, this whole thing is going to blow back on them, boomerang around in a really destructive way. They're only doing this because, again, the Minnesota police, the Minneapolis police pulled out because they don't want that, and they're thinking about how this is going to be done because Walz knows he can't wait. Because if he doesn't do something and this spirals out of control, President Trump will send in the Marines or other people to do this that are deputized to arrest this. So is he doing this as a defense mechanism to protect his ass? Maybe. Let's listen to this. Walz made sure to make it clear he hasn't made a final decision on this. Walz confirmed this in this matter.
He's going to stop at nothing to seek accountability and justice. The State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension are working on the investigation. We have activated the State Emergency Operations Center. State Patrol Minnesota National Guard leadership is connected with the Minneapolis Police Department, the St. Paul Police Department, Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, the DNR, and Minnesota's Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We have activated dozens of members of the State Patrol's mobile response team. And from here on, I have a very simple message. We do not need any further help from the federal government. To Donald Trump and Kristi Noem, you've done enough.
Wow. Putting salt on the wound. He did this.
We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed.
Blah, blah, blah. You did this.
A warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community.
You hear that? Our National Guard troops. You hear what that? You hear what he said?
Our Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to use
Our army is what he said.
Yeah.
We will not take the bait.
He's basically saying it's his people that are going to come out there and do something about it. And no one's going to get in our way, which, by the way, President Trump can basically commandeer, all right, and override the governor and take back and federalize his authorities to go in there and to what? Move this through, depending on this is. They're doing this as a buffer because you know why? I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you some of the things that went on. This came from Twitch. I got so much from... Yeah, go ahead.
He looks like he borrowed a sweatsuit from Nicolas Maduro. You see that thing he was wearing?
I know. It's
like
just,
he was wearing... anyway, go ahead, man.
Here we go. Jonathan Turley explains why Mayor Jacob Fry might just shut the fuck up about accusing ICE of murder. He says, Governor Walz, don't believe this propaganda machine. This is an ICE officer directly in front. They go through on and stuff. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey says, conducting an investigation to get to the bottom of the ICE. They've already tried to spin this action. I'm not going to play this. I got more stuff. He say, don't attempt to run over federal. It was a fact. Self-defense. Katie Pavlich says, don't attempt to run over federal officers. Obviously, the mayor is saying this was murder. They're saying George Washington University professor Turley had some things to say about Frey's comments, saying get the fuck out of Minneapolis. Mayor Jacobs just called the claim of self-defense bullshit and said he watched the video. He apologized to the family and said the ICE is in Minnesota to literally kill people. This is type of rhetoric that fuels rage. Perhaps wait for the investigation. Frey says, let us just offer the best version. This is Turley, the best of ourselves, and show them who we are. He added, we will meet this moment with love, saying, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. Let me tell you right now, what he's saying right now, they're not even going to wait for the investigation. They're moving forward and supplanting in the idea that this whole thing was set up. I got so much more. Let me cover it. Let me go in here. I got to go through because I'm running back and forth with a bunch of different stuff that I just want to play that I don't know if anybody saw it that was covered. So I just want to get over into this real quickly. This is the governor, disgusting piece of shit, governor retard. We're at war with the federal government. Arrest him.
Government. Yeah. I think in this case that the National Guard is their main mission. They have a dual mission. Well, I said this yesterday.
They have a dual mission. Yeah. What's that mission? Who is that mission for? Is that mission for them? What are they planning on? What are they planning to protect Minnesota from the chaos that's going to implode? Or are they using them as what? Shielding to protect Minnesota from being what? President Trump to go in there and arrest them? That's possible. Look at this. Is this organized? I can't breathe. Now I can't drive. Ha, ha, ha. Think about this. Governor Walz says it's everybody's patriotic duty to go out and protest peacefully. Again,
the desire to get out and
the
protest
same rhetoric
and to speak up to this administration
peacefully.
How wrong this is. That is a patriotic duty at this point in time, but it needs to be done safely. And I think the commissioner simply just laid out some of those parameters. We can do that. This is the peaceful resistance that we need. When we see these types of things happen, and we saw it after the murder of George Floyd, there's folks that want to cause chaos. There's the disruptors in it. And while the vast majority of those protests were peaceful expressions of their First Amendment rights, there were those that destroyed property and put people at risk.
You mean like Renee Good, the 38-year-old who tried to kill the ICE agents with the car, who got shot, who got killed, who got dealt, who left a 6-year-old son, trans, he, she. Now the 6-year-old doesn't have a mother. The father's dead too. He died. He's like 38. He died. Now the grandfather's got to take care of this kid. Maybe it's a good thing for the kid because you don't have to deal with the trans family. What is the mother doing there from Colorado driving a Missouri car? Whose car was that? Wasn't hers. Apparently it wasn't hers. But why is she there? Why is she not home taking care of a 6-year-old son? Who was taking care of the 6-year-old son? Yeah, you don't deserve to have a child. And now you're dead. And now you're dead. Again, this is the suicide empathy we're talking about. Look at this. This comes from Kanoa the Grave. I'll play this. I bet you didn't see this. This just came out. This is shocking, right? No, it's not. Because no one gives a fuck. I don't care about these people. You shouldn't care about these people. If these people had an opportunity to run you over, they would kill you too. Breaking the wife of Renee Nicole Good, the 37-year-old Minneapolis shooting victim who attempted to run over ICE officer, appears to have been outside the vehicle filming as her wife blocked ICE vehicles. She is seen wearing a flannel shirt walking around the vehicle and recording ICE officers. She later runs back to the vehicle to check on Renee, after which she tells a nearby man, "That's my wife." Yeah. You see the point here? When he asks if she knows of any one of her wife's relatives who could call her, she responds, we're new here. I don't have people. I can't even breathe right now. Oh, I can't breathe. I can't drive. And while she was outside the vehicle filming. Tell me this doesn't sound totally fucked up and totally staged. Let's play it.
Get the fuck out of our neighborhood.
This lady got blood. They don't. She was in a car with her, bro. Or she tried to save her or something. Somebody. Hey, was you riding with her? Did
That's my wife. Yeah, if you really cared about your wife, you would have fucking made her move the car or pull her out of the car so she wouldn't get shot running over ICE agents. What are wrong with these people? Senior Polo gifted the can. Let the riot happen and burn down all the Leering centers. Great one. There you go. Shop girl. What's going? Kid probably's at one of the 1,000 day canners there. Boom! Let's go with the comments. I love it over. They need to be arrested. If there was these riots, then so be it. Downtown's already distorted from previous riots. Exactly. So you're saying burn it all down. Let it all burn down. Who cares, right? Do you care? Do you live in Minnesota? Does it matter? Is anybody going to get behind this trans woman or this gay woman that tried to kill ICE officers that's labeled as domestic terrorists while they were filming this, staging this obstruction, being paid to be there, probably out of the city? Missouri license plate from Colorado. What are you doing in Minnesota? How did you get there? Where were you staying? You have no family. Listen to this.
Did you call any of your people yet?
I don't have.
So you don't got none of her family members or anybody number? Do you know anybody on her Facebook? All right. Damn.
So they're new there. So how did you get there? Why were you there? Who paid for you to be here? Who put you up there at the hotel? Why don't you call George Soros or his son? Why don't you figure out that and just tell him, hey, sure, you're being used. You're useful idiots. These people don't get it, and they deserve everything they get, Marshall. They deserve everything they get, and I don't really care. I don't. Is that a horrible thing to say? Am I a monster? I applaud. Hey, you tried to kill an ICE officer. Remember, this scenario, this political mandate must be absolute and profound. We didn't sit there and say half of these people removed. We want them all gone. And anybody that gets in the way, pop, pop, pop. See ya. Arrest them or worse. I really don't have anything else to say about this. I'm completely convinced, though, and I'll say this, though, that we're not going to have elections because of this the ramp up or the ramp out of all the fraud. And I think what we're going to see now that's going to be organized, it'll have to be done on the military authority, because if this is an example or a staging platform for the next leap off to jump into other cities, this is going to be glorious.
This could have been much different today, because that ICE agent could have been splattered all over the street with his guts hanging out and dead. So it could have easily ended that way.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't think about that. I think just tonight when we started the show is when I first thought of really came to realize it could have been completely different today than what happened. This guy could have been splattered all over the road. All right. Mm-hmm. And people
multiple of them, not just one, one. But the point is they being there, you have no right to be there. All right. If you want to protest, you protest outside the areas. You don't obstruct traffic. You don't get in the way. You don't you're breaking the law. You're committing obstruction of justice. You know, when the FBI and they come knocking at your door, what happens? They used to arrest people all the time in obstruction of justice. You're interfering with an investigation. What do they think they're doing here? This is the law. And the governor and the mayor are basically saying, nah, fuck them. They're calling them murderers, calling them terrorists. This is what's fueling the fire, and this is going to spread big time, Marshall.
More of these people are going to get killed. You watch. Yep. And the governor and these mayors or whatever, they don't care. Even if their own protesters get killed, they don't care.
No.
For them, that's like political gain.
Yeah. Well, it's political capital that they can use to say, hey, look, I was defending you. You're getting blown away here and stuff like that. Instead of saying, hey, look, for your own safety and security, let them conduct their business. It's Florida. It's not Florida law. It's federal law. There's nothing we could do about it. You have no right. And then the sheriff, chief of police, this fucking stooge, go and arrest that police force. What a bunch of pussies. Obviously, they got to say what they got to say because the mayor is telling them what to say or they're in charge. But some of them might even believe that. They have no authority, no jurisdiction. Political mandate. This type of scenario, this political payback, this capital, this mass deportation must be absolute, swift, and profound, ladies and gentlemen. And you saw it today. This is what happens when you get and you interfere. And I hope more of these things happen. It's the only way. Maybe some people will start to wake up and realize, hey, I don't want to get involved with this. I might get shot. That's the only way people actually recognize, hey, I'm not putting my life on the line for $300, $500. They don't even believe half this shit. They're getting paid. Let's play this. This is today. This is today. Peaceful protest? I think not. Remember the mayor, the governor? Yeah, they're peaceful protesting.
Get out the way. Get out the way of the truck.
Obstructing, absconding the law, blocking the streets,
No protest.
spitting on people,
Throwing
throwing
rocks and
snowballs at them.
ice in the car. Yeah. Busted out the back window. Look at that.
Yep.
That's not a protest.
Yelling Nazis. You got to love that.
These people all need to start being arrested. Why they're not being arrested, I don't know.
DHS, President Trump should pull out all of them. Send in the Marines, send in the National Guard that are federalized, deputized, go and arrest the governor and the mayor. And I think elements of the police force that are participating in this corruption, in this insurrection. Absolutely. They cannot be held. Think about it. Take over the city. Take over the state. I mean, half these people are going to resign or be arrested for the corruption that they're already dealing with right now. But the bottom line is this is going to spread. This is going to spread, and you got to stop this right away. You got to do something. You got to button this down, because if this actually kicks off, people are saying, "Who cares? Fuck it. Those people deserve everything." Well, what about a lot of people in Minnesota who don't want that? Okay, in some way, who don't want this, who don't want to go through this process of another fucking 2020 Floyd scenario, Floyd rioting, in some George Floyd rioting. They don't want to go through this. The protester attempted to run over ICE agents in Minneapolis is a white female. Okay. Let's play this. I got more. I got a couple more.
That are still in the area. We actually just got a statement from ICE as well. I think we can put that up for you here, where ICE says, quote, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers. One of these violent rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. An ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement, and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training and saved his own life and that of his fellow officers. The alleged perpetrator was hit and is deceased. So we have confirmation there that the woman who was involved in that incident has died.
Has died. I mean, more. I'm just showing you the stuff that's being reported. I didn't get to cover it. Let's see. This one's a good one. CNN has this one. This one was a good one. This was an interesting take. This comes from Gunther Eagleman. He says, domestic terrorist attacks in 2026 are already taking lives of insurrectionists. The woman who decided to commit a terror attack on ICE has passed away. Let this be a warning to all others on the left that are hunting ICE agents down. If you attempt to hurt our men and women, extreme prejudice will be used to neutralize you. I think this is a clear indication of how
one of those violent
CNN
rioters weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over our law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them, an act of domestic terrorism. An ICE officer fearing for his life, the lives of his fellow law enforcement.
In what world do you get to kill a police officer or a federal agent and get away with it? In what world? They're going to kill you. They're going to come after you, and they're going to kill you. If you get pulled over by a police officer in your local area and you injure that police officer, actually kill them, your life is over. There's no surrendering. They will find every way to use extreme prejudice and force on to what? Take vengeance. Again, this is exactly what probably needed to happen for people to see and wake up that the only way to deal with these people is to put them down. This is not communist. This is not terrorist. This is not. We're basically saying right now, they have a job to do. You're interfering with the job, and you're trying to kill them simultaneously of doing that job, of said job. And who's to say that any of these people are actually really protesting when you're being a part of a violent assault and an obstruction of justice that's hampering, interfering with a federal mandate? Not just a federal mandate, 84% of the American electorate voted for this. That's why we don't care. I don't care if you're black, you're gay, you're trans. I don't care if you're a fucking Somali. You're not going to see them do it. You're not going to see them do it because they know better. Their ass is fucking already hanging from a fucking noose. But let me just put it this way. CNN has to cover this. You have to recognize this. This is not going to be 2020 all over again. This is not going to be another scenario that we just allow this to happen. All right? We don't want this to go into or descend into Koreans on top of buildings protecting their businesses, shooting black people for rioting like they did in the LA riots. Because you don't want that to happen in Minnesota. Because if I'm a business owner, black or brown or anything, and you got all these other fucking people that are paid protesters that are going to come and burn down the thing, you bet your ass they're going to be defending it. Things are going to be lit up. People are going to be like, I've had enough of this. I don't fucking care. And I told you it's going to be open season on these people. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. That's why shit's not going to happen in Florida. Shit's not going to happen in certain states. Okay? When you have Governor Retard and Mayor Bagel fucking just running the show here and saying they're domestic terrorists, they're murderers and stuff, you're inciting the violence. You're interfering with this mandate. And I think right now, this is far greater. I think they're doing this as a cover because of what took place in the House of Representatives about exposing the Minnesota fraud. Marshall.
Yeah, and it's going to continue until we get the arrests of these leaders. And I'm quite sure that Trump, that his whole team is fully aware of this. You're not going to get anywhere until leadership starts to go down. Mm-hmm. It's just like in Venezuela, as we talked about earlier in the show. Chief. So hopefully soon we'll see that happen.
Okay. This is what happens. Breaking, Minneapolis police chief just blatantly lied about what happened in the city where insurrectionists tried to take the life of ICE officers. Again, when you go and arrest the mayor and the governor, many other these people in law enforcement are going to be arrested too. And they'll claim, well, we were forced to do it. We were this and that. Yeah, I don't know about that. That whole thing, I was just following orders. That's not working out anymore. She was commanded out of her vehicle and nearly even had an officer airborne as she was rammed him. Listen to this.
I'll invite him up.
My name is Brian O'Hara, BRIANO''HARA. I am the Minneapolis police chief.
You're
this
a
morning,
coward.
Minneapolis police officers received a report of federal law enforcement being involved in a deadly force incident, meaning shots had been fired. Minneapolis police officers responded to the scene. We arrived and found a woman with a gunshot wound to the head. Life-saving measures were performed at the scene, including CPR. The woman was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center, where she has since been pronounced deceased. The preliminary information that we have indicates that this woman was in her vehicle and was blocking the roadway on Portland Avenue, midway between 33rd Street and 34th Street in the city. At some point, a federal law enforcement officer approached her on foot, and the vehicle began to drive off. At least 2 shots were fired. The vehicle then crashed on the side of the roadway. Minneapolis police officers secured the crime scene and assisted in trying to preserve the evidence that is there. We have since turned over the scene both to the Federal Bureau of Investigation as well as the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which will be conducting an investigation into this use of deadly force. I want to thank the mayor, city council president, other members of the city council, state legislators that were on the scene. This has been a very difficult time for everyone in the city. And this is obviously a very, very tragic situation where a woman has lost her life. That being said, in addition to this tragedy, which unfortunately we did predict, we were seriously concerned about further.
So they predicted it. Is he admitting that this whole thing, they were staging an event for something to happen this tragic? Did anybody realize in some way that this was being utilized to cover the C-SPAN hearings that were going on in the House on the Minnesota fraud allegations as a cover? Because everybody stopped watching that to cover this. So see the distraction and the divertisement? They needed something to take away of all the evidence that's coming out against Keith Ellison, Governor Retard, and his administration that's going to blow this whole thing wide open. And some of the stuff that came out of there, my God, it's an embarrassment. This purple state is full of fucking idiots and dopes. I would say probably most of the corruption in Minneapolis, or maybe the state government, is rotten to its core. I would say almost 80% of it. 80%. I mean, so you have to go in, not just take over the state. You're going to have to remove the city council, stooges, the governor, the mayor, this fucking police chief dolt, and many other that are probably all on the take getting kickbacks. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Look at the two on the right, too.
From the scene.
No, I know.
And I want to thank the elected officials that came themselves to help us prevent that from happening, as well as the individuals on that scene that remained peaceful and that abided by law enforcement instructions so that we could preserve.
Did you see anything peaceful about that? He's lying.
That a full and transparent investigation can take place. That being said, I just echo the mayor's comments that we ask that the community continue to call for peace. We understand people are going to be upset about what happened, and people are going to want to exercise their First Amendment rights. But please do so safely and lawfully to ensure that we do not have any further tragedy in this city or destruction. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's going to get out of hand. You're going to lose control, and you're going to be fucked. Marshall.
Those two men on the right of him, they really were looking at him like with threatening. I mean, these guys are.
Is he under? So you're saying he might be under duress? I think he might be under duress from
him and the mayor are a bunch of pussies, and they're being run by these Somalians.
Yeah. So
they're
you're
being
saying
run
that the whole
by
city
these people.
state,
They're not in charge. The
They're
two
not in
men
charge.
on the right of him are in charge.
Right.
And that stuffed DEI black bitch in the middle, she's just there. She's just there. She's just an NPC eating donuts all day.
Right.
But those two men to the right of him, they meant business. You look you look at them.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
They're going to burn down the city. Look, they're burning what?
They've been talking about that. What are they saying? You know, what's the energy like where you are right now?
So that's one reason why I'm not getting too close, so I can hear all of
burning
you,
flags,
because it is loud out here. It's profanities, a lot of profanities against ICE.
I honestly, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm looking forward. If these people really think they're going to be able to push back when the Marines come in, National Guard, federalized, deputized, that are going to shoot back, maybe suspend habeas corpus, and they're going to be told, stay in your house, stay in your house. And they're going to come out. They're either going to be arrested or they're going to be shot. I mean, it's just that simple. I think you'd have to consider right now what is taking place that, you know, if you really truly believe we're going to have midterm elections and it really matters of how fragile our election system is, you're crazy. You're fooling yourself. It doesn't matter anyway. Doesn't matter anyway. I mean, President Trump, I mean, he said, 2 days ago, saying to the Republicans at that conference, hey, if we lose the House, they're going to impeach me. We're not going to have an election. We're not going to have a midterm election. Not like you think. No.
I don't think we're going to need
You're
it.
fooling yourself.
After Venezuela, I don't think we're going to need it once that shit comes out.
No, exactly. Well,
it's all about the election.
You might
and the
need something
hemisphere.
else. You might need something else. All right, let me play a couple more things. All right, let me say hello to everybody out there. Hey, Thea, what's going on? Thank you for the shades. Hello, Miss Echo. Gifted cookie. No, the 1 hour response to handle any riots within the U.S. was effective January 1st. It has begun. Time for the military to unleash hell on the retards. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. At this point, yeah, we want rest. You know what? If people want to get in the way of the military or other people doing their job and they get popped, so be it. I don't fucking care. That's, you know what? Put it on pay-per-view then. I'm asking for live executions. You know, I haven't stopped with that. Senior Polo gift to the can, stop the pepper spraying these assholes and arrest them. Yeah. Trusty Turnip gift to the cookie, paid agitator working on government bonus. Senior Polo gift to the can, let them riot, burn down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I understand Trump won. Thank you for the cookie. Go, Brett. No, listen. Yeah. Shop girl, Q drops 34.35. I understand. I understand where you guys are all feeling the same reaction. No one has any remorse about this. What we're seeing is that it's getting crunch time. It's getting knuckle dragging time. We're getting agitated, animated. The fight on X is imploding. People are freaking out. They want something done. I mean, it's good that, you know, all the bravado that's thrown out there about Greenland and what's taking place with Venezuela and Cuba and Colombia. That's good. The EU and NATO, they're on, let's just say, blast. China, Russia, Iran, they're on blast. This is all purposely done. The chaos has been what? Instrumental, all right, to cause multiple effects to get people simultaneously looking at this and that and not really focusing on one thing. All right, I think that's part of the distraction. Let's continue more with this. I think I have, all right, let's see. I think I have one more to play about this. I don't want to play too much about this, but all right, so yeah, I'll put this in. I think I have a couple of things, but I don't really want to play too much of this because I really got to get to the other stuff that was happening. But this was the news.
Racist? No, there is no big secret plan to replace white men in all aspects of American life.
A few moments later.
Yesterday, Compact Magazine published a piece of journalism that I believe history will record as the last obituary for the American meritocracy. It's titled The Lost Generation by Jacob Savage. It confirms with cold, hard, irrefutable data that from 2014 to 2024, the American elite conducted a silent, systemic, and illegal purge of white men from the professional class. And this wasn't an accident. It wasn't market forces. It was a coordinated deletion. But the Compact article is just the tip of the iceberg here, because I dug into these numbers last night, and what I found actually scared the shit out of me. So we're going to go sector by sector from the boardroom to the operating room, and I'm going to show you some of the receipts here. So let's start with the money. In 2021, corporate America panicked. The riots happened. Remember this, the HR departments got scared, and Black Lives Matter, they got a decision, mostly peaceful. Bloomberg Law analyzed the hiring data for the S&P 100, which is the biggest, most powerful companies in America. In the year after the 2020 protests, these companies added over 300,000 new jobs. Guess how many of those jobs went to white applicants? 6%. 94% of all new corporate jobs in the S&P 100 went to people of color. In a country that is still majority white, it is statistically impossible to achieve that number without massive, widespread, and...
Do you still think, and I've been saying this for a long time, we're not in a race war? We're not in a civil war? We're not in anything that you think I've been saying for years? Did you just hear that? How many of those companies went under? How many of those people let go and fired after we rolled back all the DEI bullshit and nonsense? How many people are being arrested that have been arrested for fraud, waste, and abuse, and laundering money and all this stuff, embezzlement from Black Lives Matter? Think about that. And when you think about the Somalis and everything that's going on, start to understand the causal connection there. Think about the acumen.
Illegal discrimination.
You realize that nothing's going to change until the people who want change are more concerned about achieving change than they are the names they'll be called for wanting change.
You're watching.
Exactly. Don't worry about being a racist. It's okay. In fact, wear it as a badge of honor. If you don't like certain groups of people, say it. Who cares? I don't give two fucking shits. I don't want
Being
them in my
yeah.
I don't want them in my inner circle. I don't want to be friends with them. I don't fucking care. You shouldn't care either, because that's the bottom line. If you want true change to understand what is taking place, then you will do your part to make sure that change happens. And you will never want to be in a position where you give way because you're concerned about certain, let's just say, commentary that's thrown your way that you can't handle.
Being a racist these days now means defending your race.
Exactly.
It means standing up for your own Caucasian, your own Anglo-Saxon heritage. That's what it means, because it's been under attack for really probably most of our lives, Brett. I mean, it has been under constant attack. And all I see is this Kalergi plan trying to be played out where they can finally get rid of. There's even black people that are going on TikTok and saying, if we got rid of the white people altogether, things are going to probably not be as good as they are now. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
Wall Street Babes puts this out. I'm bouncing all around until I get to some of the real meat of the stuff, because of all the stuff that was breaking. A Somali man named Mohammed took to the podium in Maine to deliver a warning to Democrats. If you keep talking about the fraud taking place, the entire voting community will abandon Democrats. He actually says this, deport them all. Somalians came out in droves demanding the city not investigate one of their own, Imam Osman. My name is Mohammed. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Somali community in Lewiston. Some of you are sitting here today. We voted for you. We elected you to protect the community interests, not creating division or go after one or another elected member for our community. If this narrative continues, our community will be forced to re-examine our relationship, our political relationship, including our relationship with the Democrat Party and who will be voting in the future. The Somalian man, they are demanding they stop investigating is a Somalian refugee named Imam Osman, who will be sworn into the Lewiston, Maine City Council, even though he's under investigation for fraud and lied about his address to run for the seat. He's charged with stealing a firearm, provided false address, run for a seat, lied about address and reasoning. Address given was condemned and rated for drugs. He's also currently sits on the Lewiston board. This is the point. When you stop being scared of certain things being called, all right, you stop being scared of all this stuff, then you will stand up and say, you know what? These people will not be able to get into position of power. Criminals, thieves, third world scumbags, people you don't want even near your kids. You don't even want the smell, the stench in your city, in your community.
Today, on behalf of the Somali community in Lewiston.
Yeah.
Some of you sitting here today, we voted for you. We elected you to protect our community interests, not creating division or go after one elected member from our community. If this narrative continues, our community will be forced to re-examine our relationship or political relationship, including our relationship with the Democratic Party and who will be voting in the future. This is not a threat. My name is Mohammed.
This is not a threat. Marshall, I mean, it's not a threat. But the guy is facing what? All these charges, and he sits on the board. This is the problem, because people fear the wokeness that still hangs around. People feel like calling out these people in some way. They're being forced or do their job to call these things out because you are worried about the blowback. There is no more blowback. It's either us or them. It's either us or them. You got to consider that. These people don't care about you. They will kill you. They will steal your house. They will murder your family. They've already done that. Why are we defending them? Why are people like Governor Retard? Well, because they're all getting the kickbacks. This is all about money laundering and smurfing this money back to DC, back to all the transnational companies, to everybody that gets a cut. That's it. Go ahead, Marshall.
They want to do everything they can to make us be ruled over by a bunch of retarded people. I mean, literally retarded people, and we're the smartest motherfuckers on the fucking planet. And we're supposed to sit here and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to be run by a fucking retard. Get the hell out of here.
It's not just that. I mean, they know full well what they're doing.
yeah,
The question is,
market,
who
all
trained
that.
these monkeys, learn how to do all this theft, all this fraud, all this smurfing and stuff? Someone had to do it. This system was set up in this way, especially
Oh,
when you have an
scam.
IQ of 69. Breaking bombshell, Minnesota auditor report just dropped, and it confirms Walt's Department of Human Services fabricated records and did not verify grant receipts, tried covering their tracks, and enabled massive fraud. This is what's going on in the House of Representatives. This is all coming out while you're seeing all this nonsense take place
millions
with ICE.
of dollars out the door in grants without making proper checks into who was receiving them. And that is not even the most jaw-dropping finding. Lou Raguse has tonight's top story. Lou?
Julie, according to the nonpartisan legislative auditor, this is another case of mismanagement of taxpayer money. But perhaps the most explosive revelation is that managers within DHS, the Department of Human Services, tried to cover their tracks by backdating and creating new documents.
But I do want to talk about what a serious issue this is and how it is, frankly, unacceptable.
Another sobering report by the Office of the Legislative Auditor, this one concerning the Behavioral Health Administration within the Department of Human Services, which issues grants to providers treating mental health and drug and alcohol addiction, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. The audit found them issuing grants to applicants without a bidding process.
So what we saw is that there was multiple entities that could have been eligible, and they chose not to provide a justification for why they were picking those.
This report is quite stunning.
One outrageous example, the auditors found a grantee that was paid $672,000 for 1 month of work without any info on what they do. And the audit says the grant manager who paid it then left DHS a couple days later and became a paid consultant for that company.
To me, that's criminal.
Auditor Judy Randall says she was most shocked that during the audit,
There's
multiple
gambling going on
DHS
here.
managers backdated or created new documents to try to cover their tracks.
Frankly, in the 27 plus years I've been with OLA, I have never seen this before. I will say we have had suspicions periodically, but we have never been able to prove it, to document it. And we did in this case. And it's very troubling.
Temporary DHS Commissioner Shireen Gandhi's response.
I was shocked to hear this information.
Why is everybody so shocked?
And it is.
Why is everybody so shocked? I'm shocked that I keep hearing that everybody's so fucking shocked. Can we not be shocked?
Look at who they are, Brett.
Can we just say the truth? Can we call it out? No, because you're scared of being called a racist. But you're shocked. You're shocked.
They're pissed that they brought it up.
Absolutely unacceptable that any staff would provide anything other than accurate representation of the work done to an auditor.
Now, there were a lot of questions from lawmakers about whether this audit should result in criminal investigations. So we'll see what comes from that. All
right, moving on. Yeah, I know, Senor Polo. That's good. And I'm shocked now. Let's all go home. Yeah, exactly. What's being done about it? Good point. All right. Someone mentioned Anna Paulina Luna today. All right, let's go to the stripper from Israel. Stripper for Israel. I heard she was pretty good today.
You
Based
can't
on
hate the
testimony
liberal
today.
white women enough, man.
Yeah.
Recognize this, Miss Luna.
Thank you, Chairman Comer. Honorable Robbins, based on your record before
This was
your
all going
committee,
on
when did
today.
Governor
That's why
Walz
all the
first
chaos
become aware of
was
widespread
unfolding
fraud in
in
Minnesota's
Minnesota.
social service programs.
I would assume that he has been aware of it since he ran for office for governor in 2018.
By 2017, DHS investigators warned CCAP fraud could exceed 50%. What was that
Wow.
information elevated to the governor's office?
Yes, there was an OLA report.
Thank you, ma'am. By 2020, state officials knew feeding our future invoices were fraudulent. We know that payments continued to the AG's knowledge. Did they continue to the governor's knowledge as well?
Yes.
Attorney General Ellison agreed on tape to fight Minnesota's own Department of Human and Health Services in exchange for Somali political and financial support. In your personal opinion, do you believe it is a possibility that Governor Walz also made that personal deal, or that he at least knew about the Attorney General's agreement?
I don't know.
Okay. I don't want to rehash what you guys have spent hours answering. We know that there's a big issue with the fraud in Minnesota. So on a number of things, I'd first like to point out, thank you for being here today. But because of your testimony and because of some of the evidence that we've seen brought forward, as well as I'm sure the fact that this committee, I assume, at Chairman Comer's direction, will be soon subpoenaing AG Ellison, I would like to make criminal referrals regarding Governor Walz as well as AG Ellison. As you know, U.S. Code 371 and U.S. Code 2, which deals with criminalized conspiracies to defraud the United States and establishes liability for individuals who knowingly aid or abet the commission of federal offense, includes willful blindness or deliberate inaction where duties to act exist. So I will be referring them later on today.
That's great. Go arrest them. Just like you did with Comey. What happened with Comey? We're still waiting for Comey's re-indictment or superseding indictments to come in. I mean, does anything happen to these people in general? Marshall, I mean, all right, that's great. The stripper for Israel. Yeah, I'm great. Now go arrest them. Now go arrest them. So we can all see. Arrest them all. I mean, Ellison's on tape for bribery. And he's still fucking AG. It's just, it never ends. Look at this one. I got this one. Just the News comes this out, Marshall, and says a federal probe of hundreds of millions of dollars going through the Minneapolis airport. Federal probe, hundreds of millions of suspected Somali cash just going in and out of the airport. So you're going to tell me right now, it just goes in and out.
Suitcase.
So yeah, so aren't you supposed to put your suitcases in through the machines, and the machines are
it's supposed to be the limit.
So it doesn't pick up money? I mean, it picks up what, your little water bottle, your little fucking what? Eye drop container gets taken away, or a pen or something like that, but it doesn't pick up money. Why do you go through the TSA? The Transportation Security Administration flagged nearly $700 million. Holy shit. In cash detected in passengers' luggage leaving the airport. The last 2 years, a massive cash exodus believed to be tied to Somali immigrants. Yep. Yeah, you can't love these people more. You really can't. These balloon head fucking, like, they actually have an acumen of 68 that you can actually think that they have the smarts, because all they know is how to steal, lie, cheat, kill, murder. These people they're soulless. They're an empty vessel. They're being utilized and used to carry out this fraud. The official said the cash movements out of Minnesota's airport about a decade ago, around the time Democrat Governor Walz took office, has grown substantially in recent years. Though we all are legally declared, according to U.S. Customs rules, the bundles of cash and luggage, some as $1 million in a single trip, raise regular suspicions among TS agents. You're supposed to be flagged, pulled away. I mean, money that you're bringing in or out of the country, you're not going to be detained. That money's not going to be confiscated. I think there's a certain amount of money. It's up to $10,000.
Yes, $10,000.
$10,000. Just like when the bank accounts, they look at your bank accounts. You got money coming in. You got checks coming in. They're not verified. How is it that you have millions of dollars on a single trip raised? So it raised TSA agents, let's just say red flags. The amount of dollars leaving the country is now being investigated. Oh, all of a sudden now, the unit is a part of a broader probe in the multi-billion-dollar fraud scheme centered around the state Somali immigrant community, where dozens have been charged with convicted crimes. Look, how did these people allow this to happen? Who inside the TSA at this airport were just waving them through? That's another thing. In March of last year, a federal jury convicted the head of now a defunct organization Feeding Our Future in Minnesota for what prosecutors called the largest ever fraud pandemic aid, which involved $250 million. Who's to say this money wasn't going out of our country to fund terrorists? And you people are fucking having a heart attack over Greenland or Maduro? Officials said most of the dollars detected in luggage involved small number of money couriers of Somali descent who took routine routes to Dubai via Amsterdam, usually from Minneapolis, but other times from Seattle, Dallas, Columbus, Atlanta. Minneapolis travelers alone had 337 million in their luggage in 2024. Holy shit. And 349 million in 2025. And total news nationwide are likely to be much higher than that. I mean, the TSA agents routinely flagged the cash movements to Customs and Border and Homeland, but there was little curiosity during the Biden administration and investigations into nature. Again, Secretary Mayorkas, former Homeland Secretary, bring his ass. He should go to jail. All these people allowing this to go. They were just the DHS under Biden, the Custom and Border under Biden. We're just waving them through, allowing this to go through. Unbelievable. It's all the way to the top. Shut it down. Shut it all down. I mean, at this point, what does it matter? If we're not going to arrest these people, I'm glad our investigations are happening and you're getting to see the audit. That's the whole point and premise of what we're seeing today. That's great. It's fantastic. But there should be not just accountability. There should be a fallout, a reckoning from this. All right. And anybody in Minnesota that is defending these people, which I believe a lot of these people that are causing the chaos right now, they're trying to storm the Justice Department and the courthouse and all these other things. They want to raise holy hell. Good luck. Let's see what happens. I hope they get picked off one by one. I hope they get shot. Actually, I'm looking forward to see more people get shot by National Guard and Marines coming in. It's the only way you're going to deter people. That's the only way you're going to wake people up. Arresting them, not going to do anything. Not when they automatically go out in 24 hours because you got some corrupt judge that's on the take getting his money from the Somalis and from the governor and all this stuff. What's the point? What's the point? Someone has to pay a very high price of this. If you're a Minnesotan, you should be pissed. All right? You should be calling for holy hell. You should be demanding President Trump send in the National Guard. Shut it down. Shut it all down.
It is going to take more people getting shot, Brett, unfortunately.
Crime scene.
It's going to take more people getting shot and killed by these ICE agents protecting themselves. And speaking of the TSA and all those millions of dollars that went through these airports that you just showed,
yeah,
they are more strict, because I lived in Mexico for 6 years. They are more strict with you bringing fruit from another country into this country. Think of that, Brett.
I know. It just
with fruit. I mean, they literally put me in a room, Brett. They put me in a room because I had a freaking damn papaya that I brought in from Mexico. They put me in a room. They treated me like a terrorist.
Were there drugs in the papaya?
Papaya, I think it was a mango too. But they were like, they treated me.
Fucking mangoes
and I'm like,
and
what about the guy going by me with a bunch of $1 million in his bag? He just went by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed. That's our.
It's a joke. It's the whole thing is an embarrassment. It's such a joke. It's such an illusion.
They treated
Thank
me
you,
like
Thea,
a
for the phone.
terrorist.
Civil war has begun. Yeah, it has. It's been going on for a long time. When whether it goes kinetic or not, I think
There's a big difference.
I think we're going to see it. We have to see it. We have to see it. I think that the only way for people to take heed of what justice looks like with recompense, reckoning, what have you, in some way, is when you send in the military to shut down these states like California. Many other states are going to follow suit. But at this point, we just sit back and what do? We laugh, we make fun, but it's no laughing matter what took place. That bitch got popped and she deserved it. And this should be what everybody should recognize. If you get out of hand and you realize that you want to be part of the problem of the obstruction and you want to not peacefully protest, because you're allowed to protest these things, but you don't interfere with them doing their job or trying to kill them in the process. I think you're going to see more of that. You're probably going to see a very heavy hand now, because if you're ICE agents, where it's been over 1,000% that we're finding out of multiple attacks on people, ICE agents shot, injured, killed, people running them. I think that the pushback's going to come. There's going to be a very heavy hand, a backhand, a back slap that's coming.
Yeah.
And I think in some way, that's the only way to wake people up. And I don't care about these fucking fake sheriffs. That sheriff looks under duress. He's in deep trouble. He's in control, right? He's in control, or he's being controlled.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. He has no power, no authority. He's forced to do this or lose his job. That's it. So let's play this.
Scared as shit. He did look scared.
Of course they do. He's got to come out and say this. But in some way, hey, when the feds come in, make sure you're there. Sign off on all this stuff. Be a material witness.
Or the Somalis rape your wife.
Yeah, Brandon Gill, like a machine gun. Let's listen.
Between
This has
54%
happened
and
today,
7%
all
is the
today,
non-
while the
Excuse me, sir,
Minnesota
could I
nonsense was
answer
going
the
on.
question? Let me move on. We've got a lot of questions here. What
This
percentage
is
of
insane.
Somali-headed households in Minnesota are on Medicaid?
I don't know.
It's 73%. Do you know what that number is for Minnesota native households?
Again, you're using the phrase Minnesota native households, but the majority.
The number is 18%. That's a quite an astounding difference. I think we would
Can
agree.
I answer the question, please?
Let me ask you one more, and then we can go on to that. What percentage of Somali-headed households are on welfare in general?
I don't know.
It's 81%. What about, let me just ask you, after 10 years of being in the United States, what percentage of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare?
I don't know.
Smug
The number
bastard.
is 78%. So
Doesn't care. Doesn't care. Many of these people, they don't fucking care, but Gil is giving it to them. They don't care. This is why why we need a moratorium. This is why you shut it down, because you can't bring people into this country who don't speak the fucking language, who can't find a job that we got to fucking support. We got enough problems supporting our own people. And then you just want to fucking just add more grift on top of it, where they're stealing money out the back door or burning down your house. This whole thing of what was taking place in the House of Representatives in the Oversight Committee today, all right, was a perfect example of the distraction, the divertisement, the cover-up of what was taking place in Minnesota today while all the nonsense was going on. They needed to make sure the public wasn't aware of what was taking place.
even after 10 years, 78% of Somali immigrant households continue to be on welfare. Do you know what that number is for native Minnesota-headed households?
Again, you're using the phrase-
non-Somali immigrant-headed households.
If I can just answer the question, when you're using the phrase native Minnesotans, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are as Minnesotan as any of us.
He's more worried about the terminology.
Only 8.
This is exactly the point.
He's
like,
worried about the
the
fucking
nuance of the fucking terminology and the syntax and the verbiage. Well, we got to make sure that fits a certain. Fuck you. You don't care about the grift. This is the problem we face. Scumbags like this, get them out of here. This is exactly the problem we face. We're still stuck on the DEI woke shit.
That's
the
his
nuances
priority.
of all this stuff.
It's
You
his
know, is
priority.
this really a pencil? Yeah, let me shove it up your ass and see if it hurts. Let me stick it in your eye and make it disappear. These people make you sick. They make me sick. Watching this, smug, condescending. This is a joke. Listen to how he responds to Gil.
1,000 of the 108,000 Somali.
Nevertheless, the welfare usage is astoundingly different. Let me ask you again, does that make Minnesota stronger or weaker?
Again, I'd like the opportunity to answer the
Still has a
question
problem.
here.
Go for
So again, the majority of Somali Minnesotans are born in the United States, as I understand it.
Okay,
It's
well,
a-
what
Again,
percentage
can I-
of working age Somalians who have been in the U.S. for 10 years or more,
This is a
how
good
many
one.
of them speak English very well?
I don't know.
About half. The answer is about half. That seems pretty low, doesn't it?
So if you were born here because you're an anchor baby and you were brought here, which you shouldn't be, and that's why the denaturalization process must happen, because you don't assimilate, you don't speak the language, you're fucking stupid. I mean, clearly you're inbred. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that's a lot more darker and deeper, but he's getting to this. And the fact is that why do we have to support them? Well, it's because we use them as our couriers. We use them as our fraudsters. We use them as our grifters. All they are is patsies and parasites simultaneously. But the bigger parasites are the one who teach them how to do this. There's probably a fucking Somali school that is being taught, oh, this is how you grift. They probably have people coming in from the Democrat Party and many other corporations training these people how to set these things up. And then having people, how do you fucking file a business without articles in the corporation? We have a business and having articles in corporation. I could go to jail. And these people, where about with the taxes and the tax liens? It's embarrassment. Where's the IRS in this? You don't hear nothing about that. And these things are on the up and up. It's all falling on Governor Walz. He signed off on all of them. Ellison covered this up. He's on tape for bribery over this shit.
Again, I keep trying
It
to
doesn't
make
sound like something that makes our country stronger to me, and I think most Americans.
Again, debating the nuance about the language and the linguistics.
Would agree with me on that. I need to move on. Ms. Robbins, when would you say we concretely knew that widespread welfare fraud was occurring in Minnesota?
There have been reports since 2009 from the Office of Legislative Auditor. I would say the credible reports on childcare fraud started surfacing 2011 to 2013.
So for over a decade.
Yes, sir.
When do you think Governor Walz knew about this fraud?
From the very beginning. He was running for governor in 2018 when there were prosecutions going on, when there was an OLA report, active cases in the news all the time.
And what was the Walz administration's response?
They actually did nothing when they got into office, and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan had been on the committee in the legislature that had hearings on childcare fraud. And when they got into office, they did put $5 million into a little more money, but nothing changed.
But nothing. And let me ask you, Mr. Hudson, thank you for being here. Did those who commit this fraud, do they typically vote for Republicans or Democrats, in your opinion?
In my opinion, thank you for qualifying like that, I would say they most definitely overwhelmingly vote for Democrats.
Do they typically donate to Republicans or Democrats?
Not to my knowledge. They
In
don't
your opinion?
donate to Republicans, they donate to Democrats, in my opinion, yes.
Got it. So would you say this is the Somali population is an important demographic for Democrats to win over politically?
Unquestionably.
Got it. And do you think it would have hurt Democrats' political standing with the Somali population to investigate this fraud?
Very clearly.
Got it. So in other words, you're saying that there was a political incentive to cover up widespread Somali fraud. Is that right?
100.
There's a
There
big
you
difference.
go. That's weighted, nails it. That's fire. Glory B says blah, blah, blah. Okay. Pork Chop Billy over here on Rumble. No one will be arrested. All right. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I can understand your angst, your frustration, your trepidation about this. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I feel you in so many ways. Thea, donate 300 gold pills. Hang 'em high. Yep. Marshall, your thoughts? I mean, it's
The
just
thing I like about Gil
yeah.
is he reminds you of the young Clark Kent. The guy's right in there.
Oh yeah, from what's that
Yeah,
show?
the young
Yeah,
Clark Kent. He's got the hair going.
yeah.
And he tells it straight.
Smallville.
Yeah, he's straight. He's
Yeah.
totally straight. Nothing. There's no. Look, I tell you what. There was a study done. Every ethnic group out there, every ethnic group in the whole world, trusts the white man more than anyone else. Think about that one. They'll buy a sandwich from you, Brett, before they'll buy a sandwich from a Somalian or even anybody else. It's true. They trust the white man. The world trusts the white man more than anybody else.
Well, being
Look it up.
if
You
you're
can
coming
look
from
it
the
up.
if you're coming from the 9th most corrupt nation on the planet out of 180 countries, and you're importing over 300, 400,
Yeah, that's not
500,000, and they spawn like cockroaches, we have a problem. We have a problem. We have a fucking huge problem. And then probably they're dumb as rocks, don't speak any English. The kids are going to grow up as grifters, murderers, thieves. I mean, honestly,
Raping your daughter.
I mean, there is actually, at this point, the reality is set in. The Democrats need them for votes. They're not going to get them. I think the election's going to be shut down. I think you should be hoping that there isn't a midterm
I
election.
don't think they'll need one.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think we won't need one because of Venezuela.
Yep. I think so.
It's going to be a big deal, man.
I think it's going to be huge. And you know what? I hope it happens. I hope exactly it happens. On February 24th, President Trump will convene to Congress to give his State of the Union speech. I wonder what's going to happen thereafter. Is this all building up to the sheer, let's just say, reality of what's going to unfold from his speech? All right, let's getting into the other news of the day. I had this. This was part of the black gold, black ops scenario. I wanted to cover the early stuff because it happened and didn't want to bring that out late. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Questions, comments, and concerns. Hit the red pill. If you want to help us out, we're on Rumble. You can subscribe over there. You can help us out over here on on Rumble and on pill.net. Thank you so much. Let's go through this. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Losing my train of thought. There's just so much. I have like pages of stuff. Pages. I spent 4 hours today just going over stuff, and I'm thinking this is great. So I want to cover this and get into this because even though the Minnesota stuff went off, I wanted to get that out of the way. I think you were already aware of it, but I don't know if you're aware of all this stuff. U.S. military seizes a Russian flag oil tanker. All right. Things can soon become interesting between the United States and Russia. Multiple reports surfaced on Wednesday morning revealing the U.S. military seized an oil tanker that was flying a Russian flag. But was it a Russian flag? The ship was reported seized due to violating U.S. sanctions. The United States has seized the Russian flag. It's a flagged oil tanker. Russian flag. Who's to say that flag was fake? A false flag, so to speak. Oil tanker in the Atlantic following a dramatic weeks-long chase in the high seas. The operation launched Wednesday. The U.S. European Command confirmed the seizure of the tanker, which changed its name from Bella 1 to Marinara.
Marinara.
Is it Marinara? Yeah, for violating U.S. sanctions.
Spice.
I mean, honestly, the vessel was seized. I mean, Bella 1 to Marinara, I mean, that's Italian names. I mean, you think about it in some way, it's kind of odd. The vessel was seized in North Atlantic pursuit because it caught me off guard. I'm like, is it really Marinara? The pursuit warranted issued U.S. federal court after being tracked by the U.S. Coast Guard. Defense Secretary Hegg shared this. The vessel was initially pursued by the Coast Guard off this. So, I mean, military reports presumable American are attempting to board a Russian that's happened today. I'll play a little bit of this. Let's see if this covers it. It plays this. Yeah, it's no sound, but it's supposed to cover this. Let's see if they're... See, some of the videos, they're all grainy. I know it's out sea. It's probably
not working on my end.
Okay.
I don't see any video.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's no video. So it's not, that's the problem. It's not playing. It says here, by claiming the Russian status, the legalities of seizing the tanker could become more complicated, but the two sources familiar with the matter and the Trump administration hasn't recognized the status and considers the vessel to be stateless. All right. Your thoughts? I got a lot of stuff on this, but we'll move forward. Go ahead, Marshall.
I think the takeover of the Russian ship was, too easy. It just happened. I don't think, like you just alluded to, false flag. I think that whole thing is a performative deal, in my opinion. The takeover of that tanker. I think it was just kind of something that was just a play. It was really a performative deal, and I don't think Russ is pissed. I don't think any of that. I think it's,
Yeah, we're going to play this. Alita, I'm tired of the negativity. And if you're negative, I question why you bother to listen. Okay. We're not going to see most of the rest. If we did, there'll be none of the riots galore. We want peace or safety. Okay. I mean, that's what people say.
We'll see what we see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not jumping the gun there.
Work with we have.
Yeah, exactly. Par 5. What's up? Gift of the cookie. The Dems are quickly realizing no one is above the law. Yeah. I mean, they're actually getting what was their just desserts, so to speak. Super D dropping 117 gold pills. Let's play this. Marco Rubio, man of many hats. Man of many hats.
Point. One of those ships that was seized that had oil in the Caribbean, you know what the interim authorities are asking for in Venezuela? They want that oil that was seized to be part of this deal. They understand that the only way they can move oil and generate revenue and not have economic collapse is if they cooperate and work with the United States, and that's what we see are going to happen. We got to go talk to the House, guys. I apologize.
Interesting that he's saying I got more of that because we're going to break this down. I got a whole discussion of that. I want to play this. I want to show you this. So President Trump has come out and put a bunch of statements on Truth Social, which we'll cover, we'll get into. But this, President Trump has plans to move the U.S. Abraham Lincoln from California to Mexico and Panama Canal to counter illegal oil smuggling from Venezuela to China. Wow, look how big that thing is. Look how massive that is. It's insane.
If you've never been up on one, Brett, man, they're amazing.
No, I've never been on an aircraft.
I've been right up in front of one of them.
I think I've been on like a battleship. I forget what that was.
Oh, they're wow.
Yeah, those are pretty big too, but I've never been on an aircraft carrier.
Like a town.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. President Trump put this out. This comes from CNBC. He put this out in a truth statement, and this is pretty big. Trump says he will not permit dividends and stock buybacks. Let me blow this up. I think this is important. because he's going right after the heart, the military-industrial complex, the deep state. He's driving a stake right into them. Listen to what he says here. He says President Donald Trump will not permit defense companies to issue dividends or stock buybacks until those firms address his complaints about the industry. Trump on Truth Social also took to aim at defense contractors' executive pay packages. Shares of General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman each fell about 3%. Wow. President Trump on Wednesday said he will not permit defense companies to issue dividends or stock buybacks until those firms speed up their production of military equipment and address his other complaints about the industry. Trump, in a lengthy Truth Social post, also took aim at defense contractors' executive pay packages, calling them exorbitant and unjustifiable. Defense companies are not producing our great military equipment rapidly enough, and once produced, not maintaining it properly or quickly, he wrote. Until those companies build a new production plant, no executive shall be allowed to make in excess of $5 million. Wow. Trump later singled out Raytheon as the least responsive to the needs of the Department of War, the slowest in increasing their volume and the most aggressive spending on their shareholders rather than the needs and demands of the United States military. He's going right at the heart of the military-industrial complex. He's saying to defense contractors, your salaries are going to be cut, limited to $5 million. Until you start producing, you're not going to be able to trade, sell, or give back these buybacks or anything in this way, or take dividends or in some way. I mean, this is a massive blow to them. Think about how much weapons and military we shipped over to the EU that we did for the Ukraine war and stuff. Now building this back or building this better or reproducing or replicating in some way, it's a slower process. And why are they doing that? Is it possible they want us to be attacked and then have not enough ammunition and means to what? Defend ourselves in some way? Why are we relying on them in this manner? He's putting them on blast and saying, what are you doing? You're purposely slow walking this. You're generating a lot of revenue. You're profiting off the Pentagon and the defense budget and all these things that which basically pays your salary. You get all these kickbacks and all these dividends and all these stock buybacks and stuff, and you're earning a shit ton of money. But what are you really producing? It's a great, great point. And I think that sets a standard where President Trump is coming out here, Marshall.
No, he definitely needs. I mean, you could tie all this into corporate espionage.
Yes.
The big companies.
Right.
They come to a point where they're going to try to take over, or where they have been actually,
right,
controlling everything. That the leaders that people elect no longer. It becomes this what is it though? What was that movie? The movie about democracy, the Idiocracy. That's the movie. Idiocracy. It's like that. It's almost like that. I don't know if you've ever seen that, Brett, but
yeah, I've seen the movie.
It's in a way, it's like that. I mean, you have corporations trying to control everything. That's not what we elected. We didn't elect a corporation. We didn't elect a mayor in Minnesota or any of that. We didn't elect these people.
Senior Polo says, remember the oil tanker in that Obama Netflix movie. Good point. I'm going to cover that right now. I got a bunch of stuff. I just want to cover this right now before we're running out of time. So both tankers were caught actively engaged in high sanctions and evasion operations. Bella One had tried to escape through North Atlantic, repainting its identity and switching to a Russian flag. Listen to that. In an attempt to outrun the Coast Guard. The Sophia was stopped near the Caribbean while hauling cargo suspected to be tied to Venezuela's black market oil exports. Both ships were part of the so-called Ghost and Shadow Fleet, unauthorized maritime actors used by sanctioned regimes to move fuel, bypass global restrictions, and generate untraceable cash flows. If that was the only thing that we're talking about, there might be other things on there that we're going to discuss. The Biden-aligned State Department spent years letting these networks expand, flooding global trade routes with invisible oil. Now, under Trump's current administration, that policy has been reversed with force. The U.S. military isn't just watching anymore, it's acting. 2 separate pre-dawn raids that were conducted simultaneously. U.S. forces boarded both ships from helicopters, no warning shots, no negotiations, just fast rope insertions and instant seizure. These are not civilian operations. They were coordinated military actions designed to intercept high-priority vessels moving contraband tied to enemy regimes. Bella 1, the primary target, had already slipped out of the Venezuelan waters in late December and was believed to be headed towards Europe. The crew attempted to avoid detection by altering transponders, data, painting over a vessel's name, and registering under a Russian flag. Thus, I said a false flag. The deception failed. The U.S. officials tracked the ship using military-grade intelligence assets, pursued it over for 2 weeks through several storms, severe storms, and ultimately intercepted it in the north of the UK near Iceland. And that gets to the point about Greenland, Iceland, and the UK. The Qatar Coast Guard Monroe was directly involved in the approach. Sophia was seized. The seizure of Sophia was a cleaner. The tanker was stateless, operated under no legal registration, and was found near the Caribbean waters, tied to previously known Venezuelan black market networks. This isn't random smuggling. These tankers are a part of multi-billion-dollar covert infrastructure used by regimes like Venezuela, Russia, Iran. The money from these operations funds more than just government salaries. It funds private militias, narco-state expansion, underground weapons, transfers, and elite-backed financial shell games. This is something I want to share with you. The Bella 1 had already sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury by its name and on radar. Venezuelan illegal exports going back years, yet somehow it continued to operate under new names, different flags, with open knowledge of where it was headed. The only way that happens if someone is protecting them at a level higher than Port Authority paperwork. Think about that. Think about who has the power to do that. That someone is a network of international elites who profit directly from illegal energy transport. These aren't just state actors. These are intelligence-linked financiers, deep state liaisons, and transnational operators who use the state as a cover of protection. When a ship like Bella 1 is seized, you're not just disrupting logistics, you're interrupting a money stream that stretches into elite hedge funds, private equity groups, and state-controlled shell corporations with links to the EU, the UN, development partners. And that comes from the GazetteTeller.com. Fantastic. I have so much more of that. But Marshall, your thoughts about that? I mean, it's just insane, the information that's coming out. We understand this is just larger. I don't think people really think that they don't really understand. This is larger than Maduro. This is larger than Maduro's fake vice president in Venezuela or his team. This was a CIA financed, captured state, like many others of intelligence gathering networks, all right, that are linked to transnational corporations and operators who they serve their masters from. That's it. And that's what we're bringing down. It stretches to the EU, to the UK, and many other facilitators. China, Russia, you name it. The Red Mafia, the Black Mafia, all different types of groups that are involved in what? Making money off of this. It's not just transporting and stealing oil. It's what they're carrying on the ships that's more than black gold. Okay? It's also utilizing these dark fleets to mysteriously disappear and vanish, to go to ports of entry that there's no shipping records or containers to, that basically goes anonymous, that people pick up and seize, that have control, whatever they're transporting. And that might also be the trafficking of human trafficking. I would also say you'd have to consider weapons, cache of weapons, and nuclear in some way. I think in some way that is important. Yeah, it's transporting high-value people to high-value, transporting high-value, let's just say, black gold, which I call what could be anything, to high-value people and to these entities and enterprises, Marshall.
I think that Maduro is actually relieved that he's out of there. And I think that Scheinbaum is hoping that it happens to her, in my opinion.
Well, we'll find out. I mean, on Slay News,
I don't know if it's going to happen that way. But I certainly do think at this point, this guy is glad he's out of there.
Okay.
Because
so
he
CNN,
was stuck. He was stuck there.
Yeah,
and
Trump rescued Maduro to blow whistle on Democrats. Former CNN insider, Venezuelan expert, alleged that President Trump's apprehension of Nicolas Maduro was actually a rescue mission that sought to bring the socialist dictator to the United States. Patrick Byrne, intelligence expert, made the claims during an interview with InfoWars' Alex Jones. He says Trump's raid really was a rescue mission so Maduro can turn state's evidence against Democrat state operatives who infiltrated the U.S. I think we said that last week. I think we said it on Monday. So the Cubans are telling Maduro, you need to be a martyr. Socialism couldn't live with the idea of Maduro fleeing, so they need him to die as a martyr. Salvador Allende, who died in Chile fighting Pinochet, died. He allegedly shot himself. He didn't shoot himself. He asserted his Cuban bodyguards at the end shot him, and he said he died fighting for the revolution. So, I mean, go ahead, Marshall. I mean,
it was obvious to us Monday night that this guy was glad he'd be out of there.
Right.
And the media tried to say, oh, they bumped her head or she had a bruise on her head or whatever. Bullshit, whatever. Go ahead, fine. That doesn't mean it. They're both alive.
So you're saying that she was injured. They were trying to.
Tried to say that, the media. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it.
Was she injured by the rescue attempt, or was she injured by the people that were supposedly protecting Maduro, but in fact were trying to harm him and moving him into a secure location? Was she threatened? Do you think we'll find that out? I mean, that's a good point.
People
That no one's bringing that up. That's a good point. I mean, what are your thoughts in the chat here?
The bottom line, in my opinion, Brett, is I still believe, and I think we talked about on Monday, is that this guy's glad to be out of the matrix. He didn't want to be in there no more. He knew he was going to be nut jug one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I believe that Scheinbaum is kind of and this Colombian president, he's going to find himself, he's probably already thinking like that.
Yeah.
He's probably already thinking, I don't know if I want to be here much longer.
All right, let's play this. Holy crap. Heritage Foundation exposes Hugo Chavez, ladies and gentlemen, was working with Maduro to fund political dissent in America. This goes back to the executive order 13848. Now you understand why President Trump has put this in here. There you go.
The Venezuelan cartel that was headed by Maduro before he was arrested was trying to create problems inside the United States. It was a Cuban plan to flood our streets with narcotics to undermine America from within. The other part of that plan was to spend money and to train and to abet a political dissent in this country. To for example, I talked to a high-ranking Venezuelan defector, very high-ranking, in October, and he told me he was in the room when Hugo Chavez, before he died, gave one of the founders of Black Lives Matter millions of dollars to support the Bolivarian revolutions in U.S. streets. This is months before BLM was founded. And that founder has been photographed multiple times with Maduro. She brought Maduro to Harlem. She wrote a report supporting one of Maduro's false elections. So either through dissent and political activity or through drugs, the Venezuelan cartel, it's not really a regime, it's not really a government. The Venezuelan cartel that was headed by Maduro before he was arrested was trying to create problems inside the United States, the same way it did in Chile in 2019, in Colombia in 2021, all through the region with street riots.
Wow. So you can really see right now is that when Chavez died, Maduro took over, so to speak, because that's really what it was. He wasn't elected. He was installed, and he was there to make sure that the operation continued under the Cuban emissaries and nationals that were there, orchestrating part of this global transnational theft of our oil, exportation, and capture of many other things, drug trafficking, many other things that, we're finding out, allowing Hezbollah and many other international groups to train terrorist funding. I mean, it's so big. It's more than Maduro. It's more than Chavez. It's so transnational. It's so much bigger.
Absolutely.
It's so CIA infiltrated, financiers, intelligence operations that are all string along to the lower tier, to the higher tier. They are the ones that run this, and they answer to the transnational globalists who are in charge in the EU and many parts of the world per se that are in the deep dark that you don't know who they are, Marshall.
And I hate to beat a drum too hard, but I'm going to say it again. It is just like Ukraine, but here in our backyard. It's like we have Ukraine right behind us, just to the south of us, and they're doing the same basic shit. And it's a threat, Brett. And I mean, I hate to rhyme like that, but
I mean, it is a
it's
threat. I mean, I understand.
to
I mean,
our
look.
country.
Well, the question
Major.
is, I think right now Venezuela is a dead stick, in the sense of
Yeah, it is.
and all the other nations that are getting the black gold, like Colombia or Cuba or China, they're going to face some hard times. They're going to have to go elsewhere, maybe Russia or maybe other things that they were Iran. So we're hearing Iran will fall, Cuba will fall. A lot of these countries are going to fall because there's not enough, let's just say, provisions for them anymore that Venezuela was providing for. They were providing for a global wealth and a transference of all this equipment and technology and infrastructure and minerals and oil and everything to supply all these dark element groups that are all occupied and controlled by these these transnational companies. And you can make the argument that Cuba is like that too. If Cuba falls, what's going to happen with Cuba? We're going to cover that. I got an article on that. But listen to Marco Rubio on Venezuelan oil. They're not generating any revenue right now.
They can't move. Understand, they are not generating any revenue from their oil right now. They can't move it unless we allow it to move, because we have sanctions, because we're enforcing those sanctions. This is tremendous leverage. We are exercising it in a positive way. The president described it last night. Secretary will have more to say on it today, who is involved in running this portfolio. And we feel very positive that not only will that generate revenue that will be used to the benefit of the Venezuelan people, and we're ensured that that's what the case is, but it also gives us an amount of leverage and influence and control over how this process moves forward.
You see, this is enough leverage. That's the key. That's what we're doing. We're leveraging. We're using Venezuela to leverage out every situation we're dealing with right now in Latin America and South America and the Western Hemisphere. We're leveraging all this out to control by shutting off the spigot of anything that comes out of Venezuela. Like you heard Hexet say, this is a blockade. Nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out. Thank you, Senor Polo, for gifting the phone. Great show, gentlemen. Hats off to the chat. Thank you so much. Marshall, your thoughts on that?
No, I look, I think that this whole thing, ever since Trump was elected back in 2016, this has been a job, and probably really before that, it's been planned out. We are on a complete global change, a complete shift in the globe and the way things have been working. Just like we talked about many months up until now, our hemisphere. And I think deals were made where all the countries, and we've talked about this before, where all the various big powers have their neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
They have their little
there's so many seats at the table. Everything's getting carved up. China, Russia, the United States. This is our hemisphere. This is our backyard.
Right.
Russia's going to get theirs. This is why the race to get Greenland is big. We'll talk about the race to get to Greenland because of the choke points between Greenland, Iceland, the UK gap is vital for monitoring Russian subs and naval movements. We'll get into that. We got some time. Because I want to cover the Bongino fight that's going on. What's going on? Bongino returns and the firefight that's taking place. Canadian media freaking out. You got to love these Canadians. They want to put troops on the border. They're scared. They're all freaking out. They want to burn down American businesses. So you got these fools in Canada. He's on the road, downgraded from sovereign nation to being a U.S. junior resource. If we're basically bailing you out and we're basically holding your hand and Trump's like, no more, we're going to do it. Why would it? That's the whole point with NATO. What is the whole point with NATO? Listen to this.
Washington's new national security strategy to restore American preeminence in the Western Hemisphere and to protect our homeland and our access to key geographies throughout the region. By definition, that includes Canada.
This is a declaration of unilateralism such as we have never seen.
Bob Rae, Canada's former UN ambassador, is now speaking bluntly about what he sees as an existential threat from a U.S. government now posting, "This is our hemisphere."
We're basically being told that the Americans will do whatever we can get away with. And Who's going to stop us?
In just the last few days, the United States has asserted its preeminence in the hemisphere from South America to the high Arctic. Canada is positioned geopolitically, not just next door, but between the U.S. and Russia, as well as China's presence in the high Arctic. America's strategic interest in Canada and what this country has to offer is inescapable.
We're going to be under Washington's thumb, whether we like it or not.
International affairs expert Fen Hampson sees Canadian resources, oil, minerals, infrastructure being subjected to America's security interests.
It kind of looks like we're on the road to being downgraded from a sovereign neighbor to a U.S. Junior resource appendage.
In Venezuela.
Well, I wonder why. I mean, you've been under the Crown's thumb for how long? You've been controlled and captured by them? To what? Steal our resources and for the United States to protect you? Yes, Canada is gay. It's gay and retarded.
It's the gay America.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculous. And they're crying about it. Hey, you can always become the 51st state if you want. I think that's what Trump means all the time when he says it. Because their license of power is going away. The UK has walked away from them. They obviously have no recourse in NATO. They're still hundreds of millions or billions of dollars behind in paying this out. They've never paid their fair share. I think the closer we get to Greenland, the more likely the NATO split is going to happen. I think that there's going to be some people that are going to be really pissed off about it, but it's too bad. They don't really own. Denmark doesn't really own Greenland. They don't really own it. They have their own independence. We're going to go through it real quickly.
And they're assholes.
Yeah.
And what is it, Canadian, the mounted guard, those mounted guys, the Mounties? There's a big, I mean, what a joke, those guys.
Yeah.
Just saying,
So,
go ahead.
President Trump has dropped the mic on NATO, stating Russia and China have zero fear of NATO without the United States. And I doubt NATO would be there for us if we really needed them. No, I doubt it too. That Article 5 thing is all bullshit. That's what's gay, fake and gay. Everyone is lucky that I rebuilt our military in my first term and continue to do so and will always be there for NATO, even if they won't be there for us. The only nation that China and Russia fear and respect is DJT, rebuilt USA. Make America great again. Absolutely. Remember, for all those big NATO fans, they were at 2% GDP, and most weren't paying bills until I came along. The USA was foolishly paying them, and I respectfully got them to pay 5% GDP, and they pay immediately. Everyone said they couldn't be done, but it could be because all this else, they are all my friends, and without my involvement, Russia would have all of Ukraine right now. Remember, also, I single-handedly ended 8 wars, and Norway, a NATO member, foolishly chose not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize. But that doesn't matter. What does matter is that I've saved millions of lives. Russia and China have zero fear of NATO without the United States, and I doubt NATO would be there for us. No, I don't think so either. I think this is a good thing right now. President Trump is breaking NATO, breaking the EU control. I know Rubio is going to head to the Netherlands and Greenland. I think he's going there. I think he's going to Netherlands first in some way to discuss this. They're going to have EU discussions. I think I'll put this up right now. This is the point a lot of people are discussing. We'll cover Greenland for like a minute. I don't really want to cover this too much. Greenland's threat, transatlantic alliance on the death watch. Is it? Several hours issuing unprecedented statement against President Trump's threats. Leaders of France, Germany, UK stood by side Trump's top advisors in Paris. The events that lasted a few days. Senior Trump advisor acknowledged that there's deep concern in Europe about Greenland, but stressed the administration's plans and discussions. We're going to buy it. That's it. He's just look.
$1 billion.
We're going to buy it. And there's nothing they could do about it. In any case, the security guarantees to Ukraine and Greenland are two separate things. Between the lines, the European officials are treating them such in public, at least whatever their private doubts are, whether an a la carte security alliance with this. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen had said the U.S. move on Greenland would mean an end of NATO. Good. Good. If that happens and they want out, good. No one wants to be in NATO anyway. Who gives a shit? Why are we paying to protect them? Let them be on their own. Let them deal with Russia on their own. Leaders from 30 strong coalitions of willing met in Paris, hanging on the proceedings with Trump, renewed their interest in taking Greenland from Denmark. We're not taking them. We're buying it. We're buying it. We were there back in the 40s. We ditched. We left because Denmark had some type of agreement that we made with them after the war to make sure there's military operations and bases there. I wonder what else is there underneath. Shortly before meetings began, several of the leaders present have released a joint statement saying it was for Denmark and Greenland, and only them decide on matters concerning this. Yeah, split screen Paris meeting itself was successful with Ukraine and its European backers. That's all they care about. Ukraine. Let's see. At a conclusion, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Macron signed a declaration alongside Zelensky, pledging to send more troops to Ukraine. Good luck. Have fun with that while we take Greenland. Have fun with that while we take Greenland. Let me just say a couple other things about Greenland real quickly. You know, there's an argument that's not being made. Satellite data and studies show significant greening vegetation cover has roughly doubled in parts of Greenland over recent decades, with wetlands expanding and an ice-free area is growing. In particular, this already enables more agriculture in southern Greenland, potato and vegetable farming, which is expanding, potential for larger scale food production, tourism growth, infrastructure development is in a warming Arctic. And I think that the more the Arctic warms, the trade routes that are going to basically open up will be worth trillions of dollars. And I'll get into that. Over longer timelines, continuing warming could reveal vast tracts of habitable or arable land on the world's largest island, turning Greenland into a new frontier for settlement, renewables, hydropower from increased meltwater, or other economic uses. This aligns with viewing it as the ultimate real estate opportunity in changing climate, framing echoed loosely in the past comments, but rarely highlighted in today's focus. I think that's something. Think about the real estate keys. Think about the tourism that's going to be, let's just say that's going to be massive. Yes, the passage through the Arctic Pacific, whilst we continue to, bleed like the stuck pig paying all these things out, the routes as the ice melts is worth trillions. Intercontinental, not just rare earths, minerals, you need it for three things. It's the key to protect the choke points of Greenland, Iceland, and UK. It also operates through Thule Air Force Base with low orbit space surveillance and intercontinental missile detection systems. Greenland is about leverage over the EU and Europe, which equals NATO. NATO's power becoming more likely irrelevant and decisively broken, meaningless. Does this alliance really protect the nation states from being attacked, or is this about compliance and control? Think about whose compliance and whose control. Our compliance and our control, and we're no longer doing that. We're basically breaking free from the UK globalist empire that is disintegrating. That's why Canada's up in arms about this. That's why many EU countries are up in arms about this. Because look, we're separating. We're bifurcating. All these other countries are all carving up their areas, their territories. The United States is going to grab Greenland, and this is going to move us into another level, not just for protection and working trade routes with Russia and maybe working out these types of deals, but also in some way to facilitate and secure our base, our locations that Europe will never do. And if we leave it up to them, we'll lose Greenland to China.
Brett, it's because previously until Trump, we had our military spread out all over the world, fighting other people's wars for them, getting our people killed for nothing. And the world wasn't divided in such a way, and it wasn't thought out. Let's just say it like that in a simple way, Brett. It wasn't planned out. It wasn't thought out. Now we get President Trump come in and say, look, you got this neighborhood. You've got this neighborhood. We can all work this out. And we don't have to do any of this shit anymore. And we can have our own areas and trade with each other and yada, yada.
I like the idea that no one's talking about Greenland, the melted ice, all that melted ice that's going to happen, the water, the fresh water that's going to seep into our oceans and our hemisphere that is going to help generate this hydrodynamic propulsion of energy, new water reservoirs, cleaner and safer water, a lot of different things that are going to be the agriculture, arable soil lands, plots of lands, the idea that we're going to have more tourism, the temperature might drop a little bit. It's not global warming. It's the Arctic that's resetting. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Take that. One Thunder gifted the can. What's up? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Super D gifted the cookie, and Thea gifted the can. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Hit the red pill. Red pill. It's important. If you want to help out, MarshallKofi.com/surfdog74.
And the skiing up there is phenomenal.
There's going to be a lot of stuff. Look, you got to think about half of Alaska.
They fly you up in a helicopter and go skiing.
Right. Half of Alaska is covered in ice. Okay. So just because we have that territory, and Greenland is about 166,000 square miles bigger. Man, it's going to be, I think this will change everything. Will change the dynamics. We'll have more military installations there. We'll have more businesses that will come in. American businesses will be coming in there, setting up shop. I mean, think about that. Think about American businesses. And, you know, it's talked about they want to give the 58,000, 60,000 people there, $1 million a pop. I mean, it's still cheaper. I mean, look, we could have bought Greenland 3 times over with the money we spent for Ukraine. We could have had it already. And think about it. We come in there and say we sugarcoat these people to economically bring them up as we bring businesses in there. And we'll just sweeten the pot, so to speak.
And that's big money for them.
Right.
Big
they
money.
had, yeah. And
because they've been trashed by Denmark.
All right. So President Trump put this out on a bizarre cancel elections rant as he warns, I'll be impeached. Donald Trump launched an attack against former U.S. President Barack Obama in some way. Let me blow this up. He also said the fake news would call him a dictator after launching into a bizarre rant. Elections and former Democrat leaders. Trump said that they have the worst policy and how we even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. I'm not sure about that. I think he's putting that out there and saying that the elections people will demand that we not have elections because they cannot be trusted in some way, and will demand accountability for it or verifiability in some way when all the evidence is unfurled out from 2020. What say you?
I think that he's going to automatically get once we get through this 2020 with Venezuela and all the fraud, the election fraud and all that. I think I have a certain amount of 80%, 70% that they're going to just say, you know what? The election was a fraud in 2020. There won't need to be an election in this year. In November. There won't need to be. In 2 years from now, when it's going to be automatic. I really don't think that there's going to be a need for it to happen, to have an election.
You're saying that there's not going to be. I'm talking about this year. I'm not talking about.
Well, I'm talking about this year. True, absolutely, because of all this that's going on, there's no need. It doesn't seem feasible, in my opinion. I agree.
Yeah, but we have to have elections based upon our Constitution, about the way our Constitution is implemented. It's required. However, what I'll argue is that if it's decisively proven that 2020 was a fraud and people will see it and will see that you can't trust the elections because we have to fix it, what do we do about this? Does this matter? Do you even care? So we just basically decided we don't have elections and this doesn't happen. What takes its place? And if nothing takes its place, we just move on. Do we suspend Congress, or do we continue on with what we have and we march forward into 2028? I mean, that is something that it's really, this is going to be eye-popping. I think it's going to be.
Congress is on the hook.
Congress is definitely on the hook. I think
they're swinging by their balls, brother.
Could we suspend? Could you suspend the House of Representatives?
Some way that they're going to be irrelevant. Mm-hmm. They're almost irrelevant already.
Right.
When you look at them.
All right. Moving forward, this is the last part. We'll just get into what's taking place. Let me cancel that. What's taking place with the MAGA guillotine versus the Black Pill execution squad that's on. There's so many people that are mad at Bongino. Bongino went off on him and I guess Matt Gaetz were going at it. He was attacking him. People calling Dan Bongino a coward. I'm just going to show you this. I got a couple other things. All right. So Gladiator returns. They got him in here. Bongino announces he declared war on grifters and black pillars attempting to hijack MAGA. There's about to be some freaking hell to pay. He's coming back. He declares it's on Mediaite. I wish I had listen to this. I wish I was able to delude myself into this level of cope. Dan has the #1 podcast in America, and he's about to expose all these piece of shit losers, and I'm here for it. Okay. I mean, I got more. Let me hold on. I got more. The WLT report put out a good one, but this one I saw that I thought was pretty good. Let me find this one. Shit, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. This comes from LifeZet. I don't look. I all I'm saying is about this whole thing when it comes to what's taking place with Bongino and the black pillars on there. Let me be clear about this. I'm in my own little stable, in my own view. I call things out as I see it. I don't jump from fence to fence. I don't choose and pick sides. I have my problems with Bongino in a lot of ways. I'm not going to call him a coward and a loser. Although he staked a lot of his reputation on the Epstein stuff when he became the assistant director of the FBI, associate director, whatever, deputy dog. And that fell apart. Whether he tried or not, he couldn't get it. It didn't matter. I'm not going to fault him for serving his country, but I don't like the way he's coming after people, because people just like the argument with TPUSA and the grifters and the grafters in that company, and it's all a scam as far as I'm concerned. All the stuff that the fallout from Charlie Kirk's death, all the nonsense that we made to see, Erica Kirk, the fake wife, all that stuff, all that nonsense. He's attacking people. They're calling that out, coming after Candace Owens. When Candace Owens is speaking the truth, she's asking questions. He wants to attack that. They feel in some way he's going to be put in position to go after Candace, to go after, what do you call it, Mark Levin. He's patting him on the back, saluting him. So there are things that I just don't agree with Dan Bongino whatsoever and stuff. And the fact that, he wants to support Israel and hang his hat around that and, push the Zionism and all that wonderful stuff. Well, good luck with you. I mean, I don't know how that's going to, there's a lot of people that, basically called this guy out in a lot of ways. And you can decide how you feel about this. I have my own opinions, but former FBI investigator, Deputy Dog Bongino, issued a sharp warning. He's coming after everybody. He's blocking everybody. You're coming after everybody, but when people criticize you or critique you, you block people. That's kind of cowardly, don't you think? Instead of openly debating them. But apparently he's got the goods. He wants to go after people, and he's going to name names. Okay. President Trump, who told reporters that Bongino was likely to step down. The confirmation came in a post on X. In subsequent social media posts, Bongino addressed what he characterized as an internal sabotage within the conservative movement, saying that there was no tolerance left for voices he believes are undermining progress as midterm elections approach. Well, we were just discussing it. Many people don't give a shit about the midterms. They don't believe Congress will do their job anyway. And most of these people were selected in there because the election fraud is so rife with it. Then how do you have any belief that these same people, that we're going to get a body, a government in there that's going to be functional, that's not part of the grift and graft, that's not going to be selected and part of this eventual push to hijack another midterm election? Not to mention, consequentially, a 4-year election. But help build this movement, I am sure as hell not going to let it be hijacked by a group of black pillars, life losers, grifters, and bums. So he likes to call these people and stuff. You make $4 million a year, okay? You were making $250,000. All right, you call and you get donations on Rumble. You get donations from this left and right. You get advertisers and sponsors. I know you have stakes and money involved in Rumble and stuff, but to call people bums and life losers and grifters and stuff is pretty fucking harsh. You know what I'm saying? If you have the evidence to suggest in some way people are actually doing that, and so call them out. Call them out. That's fine. Have a debate instead of blocking them. What kind of fucking pussy blocks people? Please spare me this. Bongino framed his comments as a response to sustained criticism aimed at the Trump administration and his allies. Look, people have a right to be critical. Look, I don't understand the idea that everybody has to toe the line. You don't have to like everything. You shouldn't expect everything. We shouldn't sit here and say, yeah, I'm a little concerned about that. I'm a little, and not think this through, not call something out. I'm not going to sit here and suck the cock of this, okay, all the way through, foaming at the mouth like Lindsey Graham. Oh, I want Cuba. I want Colombia and stuff. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of questions, and they have every right to ask the questions. For Bongino to come out screaming at us because of TPUSA and all these other things, calling out Candace Owens and calling us all crackpots and taking the side of Mark Levin, who basically you're all anti-Semites. So that's the push that's coming. They want to get us banned. They want to get us thrown off Rumble. That's what's coming. Watch the push that's coming. They're going to attack podcasts. They're going to go after people that are critical of the Zionist nation, of the Jew nation, all that stuff. They're going to come after us one by one, and Bongino's going to lead the cause because he's towing that line. And he feels in some way that Candace Owens and this and all these other people have gotten out of control and they need to be put back into the stable in some way and cracked and whipped and stuff. And I think this is unfortunate. And I think in some way, this is going to be the fight. And a lot of people are basically saying, I don't need you to fucking tell me anything. I mean, call us cowards and weaklings and all these other things. When you left, all right, you left, all right? I know you served, you left. But to attack, Congressman Gates, when did Bongino run for office and how did he perform as a candidate? Because I like both these guys, but admittedly, seems like a dig. Dan was not amused, responding with a nuclear option. Maybe I spent more time at shady parties, moneyed insiders, I would have won. I heard you know a bit of that. You've always been a dick, by the way, grifting off your daddy like suckling a little doggy. When I first met you in a Panhandle, I knew that you were a piece of shit. Wow. So a lot of people didn't like that. They didn't like the way his response was. They don't like the way, because a lot of people don't like Pam Bondi, and I think in some way, a lot of people like Matt Gaetz. They think he's a truth teller. They think he's up on the up and up. Marshall, what say you? I mean, how bad is this fight really going to unfurl out? Or does it matter because they're just going to continue to block people?
I think it shows that Dan Bongino is a paid-for Israel shill.
Yeah.
And that's all he is. He's like Mark Levine 2.0, this guy. Yeah. Well, he's already exposed himself. He did it quite easily. Thank you, Dan, for letting us know that that's who you are and that's what you are. I never liked the guy in the beginning.
Yeah.
I never liked him.
I never watched his podcast.
Never
he had some good things that he said about
but he's a cocky asshole.
Yeah.
And it's not even that. He's a fraud.
Yeah.
Just like most fraudsters are, I don't know.
But I think that's calling the kettle black. That's kind of rich of him to say that we're grifters. Yeah. We're grafters.
Yeah. And he's mad at the white boy. He's mad at white boy.
It's all off, bro. Why don't you tell us about your time that you had with Hillary Clinton being Secret Service or Barack Obama? How was that? I mean, can you tell us about that information? Probably not. I mean, look, I think in some way, I think it's unfair for him to come out and attack people that have critical thinking about certain subjects that they question. Now, I think obviously I put it out on my X account that Zero Hedge had a great article talking about when are we really going to focus on, the infrastructure in the United States in a lot of ways. And, people are still concerned about it because even though you might be in a state where you're still feeling it, prices are still high. And it's not President Trump's fault. I know this. All right. But you could still say the truth. Gas is still reasonably high where I'm at. I'm not going to argue that. And if you're in big cities per se, you're feeling it. So, I mean, look, I think that in some way for us to sit here, not be critical of things that we're seeing and stuff and hope it gets better, for him to come out and blast people for calling things out is pretty over the top, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just don't see this Bongino. He really showed his true color. He's like MTG.
Yeah.
He's like her in a way. I mean, they walked away when they could have kept fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But they showed whose side they're on. They're not on our side. Obviously, the guy.
I don't know. Some people are saying Dan was forced to leave. What do you think about that? I don't know if we'll ever know either way.
We're never going to know, but I mean, No, I don't think I don't think he was getting too much money from another source,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. And the money was too good for him.
Yeah, probably.
And
And
he's
that's why he
like,
came
you know
back.
what? I don't need to do this shit in Washington, D.C. and make America great again. I can just go back and do what I was doing and get more money.
Yep.
That's
I
the way
mean, maybe he missed his family. I get it and stuff.
Just
But listen,
saying, I don't
I
believe
understand
that.
you missed your family, whatever, and all this other stuff.
Bullshit.
You know what? Like, my attitude is then, you know what? You're going to come back on Rumble. You're going to start attacking people. And, you know, you're going to get into it. Okay. And people are going to call you out. You're going to call you an Israeli shill. You're probably going to lose people in this. I mean, look, it's not black pill influencers, okay, that are doing this per se. There are people that are asking questions about legitimately about things that they're feeling and seeing. There's nothing wrong. It is the same argument with COVID, the same argument with TPUSA, that there are people like, if you don't toe the line, if you don't suck this dick, all right, you're going to be excommunicated from this. And that is not right. I don't like that. We're not automatons, okay?
He tried to use generalization with the black pill.
Mm-hmm.
He's generalizing a black pill situation.
I don't think he even knows what a black pill is. I don't think he even knows what a black pill is. No, I mean, he doesn't. So this is one of the things that, you know, I think a lot of the black pillars would be happy about. Blackstone stock nosedives as Trump comes for the real estate cash grab. President Trump announced Wednesday, as a realtor, this is really big. President Trump announced Wednesday that his administration is moving to ban major investors from buying up single-family homes all over here in the West Coast where I'm at. All right, in Tampa and all these areas where you're renting or not. There's large conglomerates that are just bought up all these properties and they rent them out ridiculously expensive. And that's why the rental properties are high. So he says here, Trump claimed in a Truth Social post that former President Joe Biden and congressional Democrats have caused a record high inflation, which caused the American dream to come increasingly out of reach. For a very long time, buying and owning a home was considered the pinnacle of American dream. It was a reward for hard working. But now, because of high record inflation caused by Biden and the Democrats in Congress, the American dream is increasingly out of reach far by too many people, especially young Americans. Trump wrote in Truth Social. People live in homes, not corporations, the president emphasized. For a very long time, buying a home was considered the pinnacle of the American dream. Major global asset manager Blackstone's stock slid 7.3% during Wednesday afternoon following Trump's announcement. Market Screener reported Blackstone was notably a largest private equity apartment owner in the U.S. I mean, think about what apartments cost. I mean, who wants to live in an apartment? Project report released in April 2025. Full support of this. Republican Indiana Jim Banks wrote, President Trump will immediately take steps to ban institutional investors from buying more single homes. Yeah, it's not just that. Lowering the interest rates. The inflation will drop. This first quarter is going to be good. I have a lot of positive things about this. So I don't need Dan Bongino calling me a fucking black pill or a shill and stuff when I'm in support of what President Trump is doing. I have questions. I'm allowed to answer the question. I'm an American citizen. I supported Trump, voted for him 3 times, and I could still fucking ask questions. So things are getting better. And I do believe that. And I stand by this. Okay? I stand by the first quarter is going to be glorious. Inflation is coming down. Absolutely it is. I know gas prices are coming down. I know they're in some sectors. And again, you have to, with the food, you have to go from place to place to place to figure out what's cheaper. Some places are going to be more expensive than others. That's just the bottom line. I know that's what we deal with here in Florida. It's not President Trump's fault. He didn't raise the prices. He didn't say, oh, he didn't become president and said, oh, let's increase it by 100%. It's the middlemen. Okay. It's the distributors that sell it to the fucking grocery stores. Those are the people that mark this shit up. So they have to buy the stuff at a higher rate to charge more to make a profit on. That's the bottom line. That's how it is. In every asset. You get water companies shipping water to you. Same thing. It's the same thing all over. So I think President Trump focusing on interest rates, which come February, we might see another quarter come down, and that'll be good. It'll be what in the 5 regions. I think like 5 and 7/5. Is that going to be 5 and 3/4? Are we going to be at this point? It's going to be a full point. We also got the Fed. We're focusing on that. So President Trump was going to be dealing with the housing and affordability proposals at his speech in Davos in 2 weeks that he's going there. And he's going to go there. That's great. So that's our show for tonight. I think this is good. I think there's a lot of positivity coming out. He's focused on this I mean, he's doing. I mean, think about how many things he's doing, and the barrels of oil that are coming in are going to be for us $3 billion. It's going to be. He's going to split that up with the people in Venezuela to help them out. He's going to help us out in so many ways. There are
We're
so
at
many positive
2.56
things
over here. We're at $2.56 a gallon.
Where are you at?
Over in Daytona.
And you're
We're
at
at
Daytona.
256. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely been dropping over the last week. I mean, a week ago it was like 268 or something.
Yeah.
Now it's 256. So, it's definitely dropping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tracer C4, I support Dan. I have nothing bad to say about. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, my only problem with Dan is that if he's going to come out and attack people who have legitimate questions about things, have legitimate questions about things, I have a problem with that. It's the same argument why people are attacking Candace Owens. That's my point. I'm like, you know what? We all have a right to speak, and she's uncovering a lot of good stuff. So I don't think it's fair in some way you make these assessments because you just don't like what Tucker Carlson has to say or Candace Owens or somebody else. We got to listen. Go ahead.
You make a great point there, Brett, because whenever somebody tries to, they're offended or they're pissed off at something you say, that means they're trying to control you in some way.
Well, it's either
always
they're putting you in a
same thing.
category. It's either MAGA or you're not MAGA. And if you're not MAGA, you're a shill, bought off, paid bot, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's unfair. There's no in between. There's no gray. And people who think in this objective terms, absolute terms, in this way, it's black or white in some way, I think they're psychopaths. I think a lot of them are. We live in the gray.
We let them speak,
Yeah.
but they don't want us to speak. That's the whole thing. They don't want to hear our words, but we have to listen to theirs.
All right, we got to go. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. Wood USA dropping 717 gold pills. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Yep. Good night, Trusty Turnip. Thank you guys. Appreciate. We will return on Friday. Have a great night. Be well. Be safe. Ciao, Bella.